Hey everyone, this is Steven. I haven't filmed a video in about 3, 4, 5 weeks. I've been mulling over many thoughts in my mind. I've been reading various books. My mentor and my boss, Rick Boyd, is actually in Phoenix right now, um, studying beneath the tutelage of Dean Graziosi. Now, I actually am reading a book right now called Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi, which in its first 60 pages has been an eye-opener, illuminating some of the things that I already knew, such as the two wolves within inside of you that are warring against each other, the good and the bad. And of course, the little boy asks his grandmother, which one's going to win, and she says the one that you feed. And that was in the first probably 20 pages, and then basically I stumbled upon something that was very important, very um, awakening. It's called the why process, or the why scheme, or the why method. Let's just say that, okay? So you have to ask yourself, why am I doing these videos? And so the first, if I'm doing it with myself, why do I do these videos? Well, it's because I want to reach other people out there in the world who have schizophrenia. So, okay, the next question is, why do you want to reach people out there with schizophrenia? Well, I'd have to think about that for a while. I'm not sure if I want to do my 7 whys right now because it probably could get a little deep. But I'm reading the book. My boss and my mentor, he's actually in Phoenix right now with Dean Graziosi, and I pray that his time out there yields fruit. But I was thinking to myself about something that a conversation I had with my colleague Ethan last night about spirituality and schizophrenia. How do the two intertwine? Are they intertwined, or are they separate entities? Are they two different polarities of the same cipher? Or are they two ends of the same spectrum? Or are they separate? Or are they completely different? Or are they intertwined? Like I said, interwoven into each other. So my understanding of schizophrenia did not precede my understanding or the commencement of my journey towards seeking God within the universe, seeking God within the mind, seeking God within the self, and everything around you that surrounds you. I truly believe that the entire universe is the great cosmic mind of the Great One, who has many names. Um, and so I think about it. The conversation that we had yesterday was profound. It made me think about what gifts do I have that I can use to further advance people in the realm of understanding themselves, God, and then the other element, schizophrenia. So, if you think about it, I mean, schizophrenia is a very, very, very bad thing, but at the same time, it can be beautiful. It depends on how you galvanize and how you gear your mind or gauge your mind. I mean, are you the type of person where you're going to sit there and mull over the negative things in your mind and let them just eat away at the core of yourself? Or are you the type of person to take negative energy and expel it? Maybe take the natural essential elements to know what that negative energy was there for, to teach you something so that you can transform those elements into something positive. Um, with schizophrenia, I mean, hearing voices is sometimes, I feel like my mind is being stretched and pulled and pushed in so many different directions. Now, I do have a center, I do have a core, and I do believe that every man has a natural compass um, uh, that he follows that guides him through the darkness, you know. And I think sometimes I lose my grip on reality. I try to, you know, um, nail myself to the ground in work, or situate myself in meditation, or reading a book to really gauge myself, or talking to family members, or talking to friends or colleagues, or reading books that will help me further my intellectual endeavors or my financial endeavors, or you know um, Basically, I mean, I can't really say with exact preciseness what it's like to be schizophrenic. It's very much an axiom and a subjective experience. So I hope when you're watching this video, you understand that although we may be parallel in our diagnoses are not the same. And that also is not only shown in a negative light, but also a positive light. Because as I was reading this book, The Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi, he was saying, you should stop focusing on your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths. Focus on what you're good at. Don't waste time trying to improve something that you may or may not be good at, because we as a collective body of people, we're all good at something, but we're also very bad at some things. And we are also very good at some things, or maybe a multitude of things. But I don't want you to sit there and say, because I'm schizophrenic that I can't do anything. Or because I'm schizophrenic, I have all these obstacles in front of me that are going to stop me from becoming a beautiful human being, or blossoming like a flower, or like a lotus flower, or a beautiful rose, or a genius. I mean, a lot of people who are schizophrenic are intellectually genius. Some people just hide it better than others. And sometimes, unearthing those diamonds from the soil, from the earth, is much more difficult than just your average person who displays their talents and their idiosyncrasies and their the best things about them easily. Some people with schizophrenia, they all have their gifts, but sometimes when it comes to verbal or oratorical perspectives of themselves, it's almost like they're hiding beneath 20 leagues beneath the sea. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, back to what I was saying, how does schizophrenia relate to spirituality? Well, like I said, my spiritual walk began before I actually started hearing voices. Then I started studying the Old Testament, the New Testament, the pseudepigrapha, the Apocrypha, even the Quran. And later on in life, I studied a little bit of Buddhism. I don't know too much about it. The Vimanas in Hinduism. But what really brought me to my foundation was the studies of Christ, the studies of Paul, the epistles of Paul, the New Testament of Mark, Matthew, and Luke, and John, and the Book of Revelation, and even the Old Testament, Daniel and Isaiah and Ezekiel, Moses, Noah, all these great figures in life that taught us how to be godly, and so then you take in account, development into a schizophrenic, someone that hears voices, and then you have to ask yourself, what kind of voices are you hearing? You have to ask yourself another question: who are the voices you're hearing? So you can't trust everything that you hear. Some people have random, arbitrary voices that they hear, like, oh, go to the store and buy some orange juice, or tap your finger on the table 15 times in 3 successions. I mean, it's not like that all the time. You know what I'm saying? For me, hearing voices is like my connection with the actual ethereal universe that is somehow centered outside of me, but at the same time centered within me. So when I hear voices, it reflects what's going on up here. It reflects what's going on in here, in here, in your eye, your mind's eye, your third eye. So the voices that I hear, they reflect what's going on inside of me, and so I feel that that's a connection, to the universe, to the God within, to the God without, because I truly believe that God has saturated His essence into everything that He's ever created, and as that creation does evolve over millions and billions and trillions of years, it gets a little bit more advanced. Now, being schizophrenic is not easy at all. It's not easy. I would not wish this upon the worst of my enemies, because you can hit somebody upside the head with a baseball bat, right? But it's gonna heal. You can kick somebody in the stomach or punch them in the face. It's gonna heal. When you attack the mind Goodness gracious, man. There have been times when I have a bad thought in my head and I beat myself up and flagellate myself up for years on end. I mean, the 11 years I spent with Dr. Michael Moran were insanity. As the contemporary definition of sanity is that, you know, doing the same thing over and over but expecting a different result. I can adapt to that. I can relate to that. And so I feel like maybe those 11 years were just a repetitive cycle. You know, I come in and talk to him about what's going wrong in my life, and then he would give me advice. I'd feel better. I'd leave, come back a week later, and Dr. Moran, this is what's going on in my life. You know, and this is what, you know, what you can do to get better. And it didn't soak up. I didn't soak up and saturate my mind with that knowledge until years later, until basically here I am today, as it built incrementally from day to day. You know. So spirituality, we'll go back to that. I mean, I know it's already almost 11 minutes in, but spirituality really is your inner core, is your natural magnetic compass. We all have a true north. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you believe in God or if you don't believe in God. If you're a religious Christian, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Hindu or a Buddhist or a Jew, or if you're an atheist, if you're an agnostic. I don't care. I don't care what you believe in right now, because honestly, I believe if we can all sit down at a table and have a good meal, we actually might be peaceful with each other instead of trying to kill each other on a daily basis because we believe differently. Now, I believe that I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. I've studied other things, but at the same time, that's my core. And, you know, I mean, I have to defend it, you know, put ramparts up, you know. So what I'm saying is that you have to understand, you know what's good and you know what's bad. You know, even the most deluded person, the most diluted person, the most confused person knows right from wrong to a degree. And there probably are people out there that are pathologically megalomaniacal or malevolent out there that really don't know how to differentiate between good and bad. They just do good, bad because it feels good. You know, what I'm saying to you is that as a spiritual person, you gotta check yourself on your compass. Your compass is gonna guide you back to that original path. Now we get lost over time because the ways of the world today, you know, so easy to just stray away. That's a song I learned from a hip hop group called Sons of Men. But you know, if you think about it, I mean, you got to know where you're going. And I do believe that as human beings, we know what's right and what's wrong. You know, we can feel it in our system. We can feel it in our mind, our hearts, and our stomachs, you know, throughout our whole bodies. You know what I'm saying? And I happen to be very sensitive to good and bad. Okay, so back to the spirituality and back to the schizophrenia. It's not easy to be schizophrenic, but your spirituality must trump that schizophrenia. All right, yes, I hear voices. Yes, I hear things all the time in my mind. In my mind's eye, I can hear my own voice with more clarity than I can hear as I'm speaking with my tongue. You know, but then of course, spirituality must be the flagship that guides you back to the essence, back to the place where you originated from. So, what I want you to do is I want you to do this. All right, I want you to, after you watch this video, think about who you are as a schizophrenic, but also ask yourself, what is your relationship to God within the universe externally and to the universe internally? Because he said in the Bible, in the New Testament, I do believe is in the book of John, that his disciples, Christ's disciples, the 12 disciples, asked him, you know, where is the kingdom of heaven? Is it here? Is it there? Is it to? Is it fro? And Christ looked at them because he already knew. He already knew. He already knew what the answer was going to be. He already knew the whole scheme before he even was born. And I'm sure that he anticipated this question for many, many years. But he said the kingdom of heaven is within you. Think about that. Have a beautiful day. Peace.